An update and a welcome to possible visitors. Though I'm not sure if many will dare enter the site. In case some did. Hello. Um, well, for non-Polish speakers, my name is Agnieszka Beata Magdalena Rojek. I was born in Krakow, in Poland. This is a chapel near the place where I live. I'm not sure if these are my windows that you can see there. No, I think these are my neighbors. Perhaps you can see a part of my balcony, but I am not certain. Anyway, of course it's winter. Today is the 15th of August 2020, 27 to 5 p.m. and times have become really dangerous, more dangerous than the COVID. And it's changing all the time with the new information surfacing or reaching, at least reaching me. So I really don't know what to do. I really don't know what to do with the rest of my life, which has been ruined probably beyond repair. Normal life seems quite unreal from the current perspective, from the current level of damage. It's very difficult, it's continual spiritual anguish. For a person of my spirituality, the Virgin, it's unbearable, it's really unbearable. So I live from day to day focusing on what I can focus on, and that poses questions too, because it's about directing my attention. So I've been busy doing courses. I've done the course on screenwriting, that's really funny. That's the only one I have completed so far in the series of courses that are available in Future Learning, that's what it's called. This certainly has the potential of becoming a new passion, and I really look back with nostalgia, remembering the good old days when I had my home, my privacy, my peace and quiet, my free body, not messed up with and not tortured, with no violence exercised on it on daily basis. The current situation is atrocious. Add the presences of people who are really hateful in the sense of there being hate in them, and hateful in the sense of them being hated by me. My birthday is approaching. It's going to be the 46th. 40 days left. And again, I don't know what to do with my time. There are so many interests I have, and I have such a great collection of books in my library, books and other materials for learning. I could have such a wonderful life. There are many people I'm really obliged to, as I say. So, you know, the people who had worked hard on the damage of my life. Or not that hard, but crafty. There are reorientations. The most important one is probably an attempt at moving to a different cultural zone. But of course I'm deeply in the English-speaking cultural zone, deeply immersed in the English-speaking, rooted actually in the English-speaking zone. All my education is the English-speaking zone, apart from the typically Polish education, of course, related to my being born in Poland, growing up here, maturing here, and getting my education here to start with, I think, because that's the most fundamental orientation in life, I believe. So this is the situation, and I've been trying within the scope of my interest. There are, of course, that's the whole world, and I would like to, if I were free, I would like to travel to so many places and get to know the life in so many places. But I'm not in the life zone, I'm in a death zone. And this death is happening all the time. So I'll be taking my small steps to get to know the Spanish, the French to start with. I think after all I will again rearrange it for French, Spanish and German. Perhaps I should not set priorities here, just keep this free. They are European, and in the current world situation, the current global situation with the current changes, it is quite important to keep the free, to keep the European perspective in mind all the time. Getting to know other perspectives, but we are in danger. And the consequence of colonialism is surfacing and becoming overwhelming, so to say. Many people don't see it, but I see it, and I see it in full clarity. Perhaps because I had so much heart for the people from different worlds, and that created the affinity of love. I'm not talking about mutual relations or anything like that, just the feel when you love something, and it becomes so much of you. Your rhymes move, for example, in dancing, or you just get the feel, or somehow, or the words of the sacred writings appear. That would be the case of the Holy Quran. I don't think I have ever danced with a Muslim. Or perhaps they were made to dance, being somehow connected to my body, I don't know. But I did dance with a Japanese guy when I was in Hastings. What year was it? Around 1990, I think. So there are these worlds, and I wonder how important soap opera is. So my soap opera is Natalia Oreiro, and once against Natalia Oreiro. When I was at the university in the 4th grade preparing for my exam in German, I was lying on my carpet with my copybook and book and dictionaries and other materials learning German, and there was TV on, and there were soap operas from Argentina and Brazil, I think. I'm not certain, but definitely from that region. And there were others too, but Natalia Oreiro, of course, was the star. So somehow one gets immersed in it, as well as one gets immersed in it, I believe, when one attends a school located in a special place like Kazimierz in Krakow. So this is my secondary school, and it even gets more weight, gains more weight when you have Spielberg coming and making the movie, the Schindler's List. At the very time when you are still a pupil, so you know this becomes a part of your life in a way, because you go to school and you have lessons, then you have a break, and you normally go to that cafe called Ariel, which is near the square. There's a synagogue in the square, and there's Ariel, and you cannot go there because there are all those people with Spielberg making his movie there. So these things become more real, and somehow you become a part of it. And there are such experiences all the time with all sorts of people. For example, gypsies. My friend, right now I have many regrets because these people have turned against me. So that creates a kind of I'm so sorry, I regret, and so on. Not in the sense of apologizing, but I feel sorry for myself. I could live such a wonderful life in my, highly cultural, intellectual, but also emotionally deep and meaningful world without going down. But then I was not thinking of it. Okay, so let's take this dog for a walk and run in the fields. So these are the actual experiences that make the picture of a culture. Not read about in the book, but actually lived. So then, whenever you think gypsy, you have this open field, this dog running freely, and you running freely, and nature, life. This creates the reality. But then I have also bad experiences with gypsies, and they contain the element of the black magic, I believe. I was not using it, but one of my pupils was using it. I have never tried. Well, there was a gypsy neighbor here too, so these are really dire straits and dilapidated living conditions. So there are these regrets building up as one gets these people back in one's life. So, and you think, oh my God, what made me talk to this person? And then you get into a kind of weird state when you no longer want to talk in the street to people or talk to anyone or meet anyone, because you don't want this world to be your world. And it cuts all possible friendships outside your sphere. But now it's invaded my world, so it's full of hatred. And there are also other connections, of course. I think we get more from the movies than we think we do. So all those Bollywood movies I watched, perhaps this is not really India, perhaps more of India I got from the historical documentary series. And I don't know how many parts there were, 5 or maybe even 6, which gave the picture of India historically, not chronologically, and this is really rich. And then somehow, somewhere, other connections are established too, I believe. But well, maybe that's what AHA did to us with Take On Me. One never knows if this is actually a kind of revelation, if you are informed about something, or if it starts there. That's the similar problem, possibly as the problem with the Matrix series. Except that in the case of the Matrix series, I am certain that it was meant to have this effect. So first they create the imaginary reality, then they create their reality in physical terms, and then they make you part of this reality and tell you that it had always been so, while it had not. You had been free, and the freedom offered to you as the way out is actually the enslavement. So the belief in the noble nature of most people has proved false, sadly. But most people probably live a relatively decent life under decent conditions. So it starts from the head, really, from the person ruling. And there are those who will not be broken. What happens to such people is really telling. So my story is really telling. There's the huge historical space of the Roman Catholic Church, becoming particularly important nowadays, when finally, at least from my perspective, when I finally know that the European Union is taking us to the Greek roots of Europe. And I believe that the Roman Catholic Church is Rome, the ancient Rome. So if we take this out, we are left with perhaps more than that, but with what could be anchored cognitively as the sea world, with sirens, Jumanji, I don't remember the name of the goddess, but the woman on top. And this is not a joke, these are spiritual existences that had lived before all that became suppressed. And because of the way it was suppressed, we are in danger. So the Europe as we know it cannot continue. It is possible that the woman we know it will not continue its existence for too long. But then, from the individual perspective I have, well, why should I bother? Haven't I had problems many enough? And I have had problems many enough. But it's just a question mark. I live day after day, and I'm making these decisions day after day. I do not see a way out for myself, and I am not in the condition of working for others now because of this massive humankind becoming one against me in the abuse, in the crime. Where when I think of me, I also think of my mom, of course, and my dad, and my closest family. In terms of my family here in Poland, I can certainly think of Three Daughters of Poland, in the fashion that Jung Chang thought of the Three Daughters of China, the white swans. A different story, but a lot of history that shapes our life. Even if we are not aware of it, we can be aware of. For some reason, I cannot get a job, and never ask what the real reason is. It can be totally different. It has nothing to do with our personality. It has nothing to do with our qualifications. It has nothing to do, well, perhaps there is some intuitive genetic dislike, but there are so many factors regulating it outside our personal stories. And still our personal stories are part of this historical processes. There's a strong creative power in me, very strongly reinforced by doing this course on screenwriting, where the new possibility opens, and I just love it. It might be connected with the fact that I think they were connecting my brain or some other part of my body with mechanical devices, camera among them, I think. Or perhaps it was not my brain, perhaps it was someone else's brain connected to my brain. It's hard to say. I know they sent me an Android in another social media. And I've been getting signals that they want to make an Android out of me too, which is pretty scary, but possible under the circumstances, with all I know about people and insanity. So also the perceptions are slightly different. But originally it's about writing and wanting to be the writer first of all. There are regrets. I regret so much my going to St. Hill. That was the worst investment of my life, and I do pay for it. So this is a great financial loss, and that has spread into other losses. I'm in that fortunate position on the spiritual plane that it is them who owe me and not me who owes them. So they are my debtors. Well, I have moved my books, the Norton Anthology of English Literature, Norman Davies, A History, and the book from the library that I did not manage to give back when the library was closing for some reason, so it stayed with me. The New Oxford Book of American Verse, which is not new anymore, I guess. I have moved the books on my desk, and I'm immersed in so many projects right now. Not projects, I don't want to. In so many activities. I need to leave that business speak, because it's not mine, to be honest. But I can use it. By the way, I recommend the recording of my Trending in Romanticism, a response to a businessman who viewed business through the lens of Romanticism. But I believe that he was rather in that modern school of Romanticism, the interpretation and the possible application of the romantic ideas. And mine is totally different. There's the idea of writing the history of literature, originally the history of English literature, perhaps the history of Polish literature, but I think that I should actually write a history of literature, and I'm not sure I will be able to take it beyond cultural zone, so to say, perhaps not zone because that's military, a cultural, beyond our world, the European world. But I see. So this is more or less what I busy myself with. The list of languages is much longer. It's Norwegian, Hungarian, but you can learn it all from my recordings, which you can find in my YouTube account. There is a point when you feel it's time to start withdrawing, and I had had this experience many times till yesterday, and I had been withdrawing already, but yesterday something changed again. And this is the horror of a new perspective, which might not be true, but now with the knowledge you have, it may as well be true. That realization is probably a kind of signal for withdrawing a bit, because the things there had gone too far, and now you know that they had gone too far by the time, which reaches you back in the present time, and it means you're close to it. The 15th of August 2020, almost 5 p.m. now. Agnipolis in my noble kingdom of Onestia, or Krakow in Poland. Agnieszka Beata Magdalena Rojek, or Agnieszka Justitia I of Onestia, formerly called Agnipolitania, the queendom, a virginal one.